the school has been able to train a number of critical cadre that government needed for government's mainstreaming, gender mainstreaming program. By the way, that's one of the reasons the school was established. It was established in 1991 to produce a critical cadre that government needed to mainstream gender in its processes and in its activities and systems. So that it has done well. We have trained a number of, our oldest flagship program was the Masters. So, and that was the level at which it was required. So we've trained a number of Masters holders, and many of these are deployed in the different sections of government and development agencies, either as gender focal point persons or as commissioners and that kind of thing. Beyond Ugandans on the Masters track, we have trained a number of internationals from Ethiopia, from Liberia, from Sierra Leone, from Ghana, from Nigeria, and Cameroon. And as a result of this training, those other countries have also been able to establish gender units in their own places. And each of our products in these different countries is highly placed to do the work for which we trained them to do.
I feel proud that we have reached this far as almost the only school of women and gender studies dedicated to gender studies as an academic unit on the continent. We can proudly say that. What have we achieved in the 30 years as a school? First of all, you can say that the school has made the issue of gender equality a public, legitimate concern. And that's a very big achievement, because then it is not in the rhythm of helping or begging. It is there as a matter of principle. And it has also informed activism, it has informed the policy, government, it has informed action in development practice.
For example, when you talk of affirmative action for girls to university, when you talk of gender and equity budgeting, that is now a requirement for every institution to do, these are all coming out as a result of gender training. And definitely we are not just training basic students, but we're also training ministers and politicians. We have also trained so many in civil society. I mean, those who are doing activism in civil society as a result of have come from gender studies. So that makes us proud. And when we look back, of course, we see where we have come from. I mean, the building, where we were and where we are now and where we are going. I mean, we are proud to, and I'm proud to join the School of Women and Gender Studies to celebrate the 30 years of existence and influence.
The women's movement in Uganda has existed for quite some time, over 100 years. But the School of Women and Gender Studies has brought this consciousness in the movement that has not only practically built around issues, but built around the theories learned from others, that has brought the theory into practice and taken the practice into theory. So that we are greatly proud about. And as women of Uganda, we are proud because we have set the pace. Besides the School of Women and Gender Studies and the learning that we've had from there, we have set the pace for the rest of the continent.
So when we begin to look at how gender professionals influence gender equality, influence development, then I see that within the next few years, more investment will be going into gender studies. More people will be interested in understanding these dynamics within the context of society. Because when you look at the SDGs, as I said before, SDG 5 is central to the achievement of all the SDGs. So you would see more attention being paid to how SDG 5 is being implemented. and whether people are equipped, whether they are skilled, or whether they are tooled to be able to play that role.
There has been a lot of progress the world over in terms of gender equality. There's still a long way to go. On our continent, for instance, we can still see that there's a huge differential in terms of the development gains of both men and women. Women still suffer disproportionately from harmful traditional practices, from economic injustice. Many more women don't have access to the productive assets that they need to be able to further themselves. So we can see that these gaps still exist. So we need academia, we need their research, we need the evidence that they can produce for us to be able to program better. We need to know what is working, also that's from academia. Where are we getting the results? What approaches are working that we can confidently apply?
As a gender machinery, one of the leaders in the gender machinery, I am really proud and happy. We are not yet there. That's why I still support the academia being in charge of research, being in charge of bringing new practices, positive practices that we pick from elsewhere, inculcated into our communities, is critically important. Policies are not necessarily designed or shaped by active politicians. Sometimes they even don't know, but they need to learn. And the academia is one of the areas of where we refer to for learning new ways of doing things. So I've been able to pick good lessons. Women are now starting up to open up factories. Previously, everything to do with microeconomy was thought about for women. We have to have policies that are gender sensitive.
So we expect through this conference and in the next 30 years to reassert the position of women, to reassert the position of equitable gender relations on the continent. So 30 years from now, we expect it to be more robust as a unit. We expect our home to be more vibrant. We are elevating it to 3 more floors, so it will be a 6-story building. We expect gender to be more pronounced in the way organizations like the African Union, the East African Community do their work.
It is high time we need to start interrogating further. It's not enough to be gender aware. We need to take the feminist analysis tools to understand the discrimination that has been perpetually, used against women and girls. So gender is good, but we need to deepen it and deepen the feminist analysis in the School of Women and Gender Studies.
What I see in the future is that we have to go beyond, we must go beyond the differences between men and women. We must go beyond issues of addressing symptoms like gender-based violence, addressing symptoms like early marriages, addressing simple things like calling kneeling oppression. So I think we must go beyond that and theorize gender studies from the global south. We must understand that indigenous knowledge is legitimate knowledge. We must, as much as possible, try to decolonize our curriculum and make sure that we get knowledge from the African continent and understand what it is that we are battling with.
We were looking at 50% positions everywhere by 2030, which is what we signed on to. And I think Uganda can achieve it. And the Department of the Women and Gender will play a key role in making people understand, but they need to move out. Those researches need to be shared. Private sector, I feel, has not been involved enough. They need to come to the private sector and inform them and share with them the knowledge that they have so much of. So we await for that, and I congratulate the department on 30 years of existence. We are the biggest in Africa, and I'm really proud of that as well. And also, we are celebrating 100 years of Makerere, and that includes the 30 years of the Women and Gender Department.
I see a strengthened collaboration between academia, civil society, private sector, and government. Why? Because academia plays a key role in generating the knowledge, information, data, research that fuels development.
I think the advice would be, please, more research, more quality work that can give us the evidence that we need, both on the short term and on the long term. On the short term, for instance, we've just had this terrible pandemic, 2 years in, it's still not done, but we know that there have been effects. So research of this topical nature, which is needed now, as we try and understand how we'll get to the other side of this pandemic, I think would be useful.
I would want to see gender studies inculcated into our curriculum, actually from childhood, because formation of a person's character is from childhood, and other people drop out without understanding this relationship. So I would want to see a curriculum that teaches young boys and young girls to appreciate each other.